Good evening. We interrupt your broadcast to bring you this special report and message from the Sovereign of Seattle. As you know, these messages are often accompanied by the anthem. The anthem, the style of it, and of the performance is often selected ahead of time in the event of a variety of occasions, for specific purposes, and this one is no different. And we are told this evening this one was picked, specifically for this broadcast. It is an unscheduled address, from the Sovereign himself. Please stand by for the anthem and, from Seattle, hear now, His Majesty, the King.
Good evening. As was mentioned in the New Year's speech, we have tried very hard over the past year and longer to preserve, protect, and defend the relationship between myself and my very own prince, my boyfriend Anthony. I cried, worked, bled, was injured and kept coming back, and a whole host of other things over this past year trying to preserve and strengthen it, keeping hope even when it was hopeless, and even when all of the winds of the world gusted against that candle of hope, I kept the fire alight. Even going so far as undergoing surgery to help save the relationship and to make myself more physically ideal than I was in these past several years. Anthony has been with us for a while. He has literally pulled us off of the floor and out of the deepest despair and darkness, that the likes of which words cannot truly describe. The actual worst experience of my life and the true dark night of my soul. After the passing of our best beloved Jaren, Anthony got us up off of the floor and gave us something worthy to fight for. And fought for him we did. We have and continue to. But for all of the blood shed, tears cried, toils suffered, pains endured, hopelessness persisted through, odds persevered against, and sweat dripped from my body in this effort. It does appear to have been for naught. Although we had hoped that he would stick around for life, hoped he would take our name, and hoped that he would be with us until the end, Anthony has decided to take his leave from our family, and from me and our relationship. Although we are not certain as to why, we are certain of this. Anthony remains the best boyfriend I have ever had. He is unique, one of a kind, and we will be the lesser without him. There is no one who can replace him, and I don't wish anyone to replace him. Although many tears, I'm certain, are being privately, and shall certainly in the future privately be cried, enough to well oceans full, they will be cried privately, with dignity and quietly. As for the gap in the family, we will do our best to muddle through. But we are locking the family at this point at its current membership and current number. Through widowhood, it was difficult to imagine that I would ever stand up and love again. To get a second act after that is a very difficult, near impossible task. Ask any widow. Anthony made it possible because he was here since before Jaren became late. He is the one that I wanted for life. Anthony surpassed Jaren in almost every measure, except for chronology. Anthony is worth every bit of the effort. He is worth every tear cried. And he is worth every ounce of effort that we put toward this effort. Not one bit of it was in vain. There is no one who can succeed or replace him. And to that effect, I announce the end of the romantic portion of my life, and much earlier than I had hoped. I shall be putting those energies and efforts toward a reallocation of attention, focus, and emotional direction. I shall try to find a legacy and make a legacy for myself, and focus on that perhaps 30 to 40 years earlier than I had hoped. But that is 30 or 40 years of a head start for the causes that I believe in and that I know are crucial to our future that we get right. Perhaps that sacrifice on my part will be worth the effort. After only 1,500 people every year in Seattle die due to exposure to the elements outside in the wintertime who are homeless who don't have to, we can do something about that. Our environment and climate stewardship and proper protection and sustainability for ourselves, our natural resources, and our communities, we can do something about that. We can make sure that there are no kids on the street going hungry. We can make sure that trans kids who are kicked out of their homes in other states by their unforgiving and ununderstanding parents can find a home here in Seattle as a true Emerald City on a yellow brick road. And that we can do something about. There are many causes I believe in, and my focus on them will hopefully drive our efforts to make our causes your own. And together we can make this vision of the future of a Cascadia more inclusive, a true reality. It is my only regret that Anthony will not be there with us as we help to do this, and as we lead the way toward that better future. I grieve for the loss of this relationship, but I firmly stand where I stand. And if you, or anyone out there, is a widow listening, then you understand precisely what I mean when I say that no one can take his place. He has been the best boyfriend we have in this house ever had, a perfect stepfather for Sebastian, and the best partner I could have ever asked for. Everything I ever wanted. We only have best wishes for Anthony and his future. As his boyfriend, it is my duty, in fact, to foster, facilitate, safeguard, and vouchsafe his happiness, his health, his safety, and his well-being. And so, in this broadcast, I am, in a way and in effect, fulfilling very perfectly my role as his boyfriend to facilitate his happiness. And as Anthony has indicated that he would be happier with others, in order to facilitate his happiness, even if it is not with me, I must let him go. And what greater act of true love could there be? To love someone enough to give them their best chance at happiness, even if it's not with you, and to love them purely, chastely, but from a distance. I am reminded of the words of the poem, The Impossible Dream. To dream the impossible dream, to fight the unbeatable foe, to bear with unbearable sorrow, and to run where the brave dare not go, to right the unrightable wrong, to love, peer and chase from afar, to try when your arms are too weary, and to reach the unreachable star. For this is our quest, to follow that star, no matter how hopeless and no matter how far, to fight for the right without question or pause, to march into hell for a heavenly cause. And I know that if I only will be true to this glorious quest, my heart will lie peaceful and calm when it is eventually laid to its rest. But the world will be better for this, that this one man, alone and scorned and covered with scars, still strove with his last ounce of courage to reach the unreachable star. I do dread the loss of Anthony, as I have, and I am looking nowhere near forward to the grim darkness of the bleak and desolate future, and the pains that will come from living without him, and from living alone without companionship for the rest of my days. Which is not a choice on my part. You would be often surprised, if you're not a widow, to know that we don't get much of a choice in that. It is not as easy for us as it might be for you to imagine it is for yourself to restart again. It is almost an impossibility. That it happened with Anthony is a miracle in and of itself. Without him, there is no possibility. That is not dramatic. Ask any widow. But fact. Good luck, Anthony. We wish you all the best and the greatest things that life has to offer. We wish you happiness, health, and prosperity with all of our hearts. And I will always love you. From now, this day, until my last day. Good night.